Greetings and welcome to the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable, which today is kind of a triangle. I'm Rob. Up above me, the noisy bugger upstairs is Galen.
Yep. Playing my
Vishal,
music.
there he is. Turn it down, G damn it. Vishal in the far corner, and the man who's muted over there. He's very quiet, very still, very sullen. That is Chris Perry. He's kind of relaxing for this one. We're going to talk about circular economies. This is a fascinating area. Takes in a lot of different realms, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a morphing sector. We've got Greenlane Renewables out of Burnaby, British Columbia, under Brad Douville, the CEO. Could be pronounced Deauville, but it's Douville or Deauville. And it's GRN on the TSX. GRN on the TSX. That's Greenlane Renewables. Very interesting. Also interesting, with Paul Ghezzi, the CEO, is Kontrol Technologies. Control with a K.
Mm-hmm.
Out of Vaughan, Ontario, KNR on the NEO exchange. And we're also going to talk about Northstar Clean Technologies, which is ROOF, ROOF on the Venture Exchange. They're in Delta, British Columbia, and it's Aidan Mills is the president and CEO. And one of these fine gentlemen upstairs in the penthouse, whichever one can put down their martini the fastest, is going to begin the
I'll do
proceedings.
it.
Okay, there we go.
Look at that.
Okay, so, as we mentioned beforehand, this is the age of the circular economy. We got to start keeping our shit in order, as it were.
What? I'm sorry, what?
By the way, where you guys live, have they banned plastic bags yet?
Yes, in Vancouver,
Yeah.
we don't use plastic bags anymore. You return to paper. It's funny how that the going to plastic was somehow saving the paper usage, and now we're back to paper again. Yeah, it's a circular. It's a circle.
Not even paper, man. It's
Oh, yeah.
BYOB now. Bring your own
See, well,
bags,
there you
like
go.
have to-
Well, they do encourage
it's
the
a
BYOB, but they do have that backup. They charge you for it, but they have that backup. Okay, well, let's talk about the circular economy. It's about reducing, reusing, and recycling the equipment and stuff that we're using today that we never really did before. It might puzzle or not. It might stun you to know that every year, roofing waste, which is made up of the asphalt single shingle, amounts to 11 million tons every year in America alone. Now, that's a lot of crap. Now, we've never really done anything more with it other than put it in landfills, which not the greatest thing to be doing these days.
Oh.
So a company called Northstar Clean Technologies has taken up that banner to deal with this waste on a grand scale. And they've got proprietary methods of shredding it, bringing it all apart, and reducing it to its prime components and reusing it, either in new shingles or just in products that they can sell off to other manufacturers. I like the company. It's got a lot of good press, and it is really attending to a problem. It's still in the pilot program stage, so not making the cash yet, but it is moving ahead, and it does have pilot plants out there that are doing the job and basically doing it correctly. They've got all sorts of scientific findings being released recently that indicates that these guys are doing high-quality work and returning this stuff to the system once again. Okay, so we'll move on from that. The other company we're going to discuss today is, let me just see which one. It's Kontrol Technologies. I really like these guys. Now, these guys are what they do is provide an Internet of Things, a whole cloud-based monitoring situation and sensor situation that allows buildings and companies that run these buildings to monitor their water use, where they may have leaks, what their air quality is like, all sorts of lovely things to keep you abreast of the situation, make sure that you're optimizing your operations to the best of your abilities. Kontrol Technologies has got some wonderful news. They're actually making money, and they just signed a $9.7 million contract to provide HVAC services for a building out in Toronto area. And this is on top of them also I guess confirming their technology because they have a BioCloud, I think it's called, which is a cloud-based technology that monitors your air. And one of the things that they wanted to do is not just, air quality in terms of dust and that kind of stuff, but to actually check for viruses running through your air system. And in Japan, they've managed to actually make that happen, where they've identified an influenza virus in testing. So that means this technology is also another money maker going ahead. Now, they have had a bit of a beating in terms of share price, but not bad. It's people selling on the news. It came directly after them announcing, their stocks skyrocketed after they mentioned that they were doing this $9.7 million contract. But people, of course, are taking their profits. But the nice place is that it's ended up just above or just in range with their established highs. So this company has got nowhere to go but up as far as I'm concerned, and provides a very necessary service. Another one that we're going to talk about is Greenlane Renewables. This is a company that's involved in the creation of biogas, from biomass, from manure, from field waste, from anything they can get, a natural resource. Now, the company is not in a cash positive state yet. It's still opening its market footprint and doing pilot programs and that kind of stuff. But the problem is at this point in time, biogas is a hard proposition. There's a few challenges that come into play when you're dealing with biogas, and these are technical ones. It's not that this company is doing anything wrong. It's just that the technology itself, and they're trying to improve as much as they can. Biogas requires a lot of land mass. It also requires, or it's difficult to transport because it's gas. So you're either going to have to truck it out of these facilities or build pipelines to do it. So it's not convenient per se. Mm-hmm. It is a necessary step as we try to transition out of fossil fuels. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, we really do need to progress the technology a bit more. But these guys are doing it, and I like to see what they're doing. So, who knows? Down the lane, down the green lane, these guys might be making a lot of cash.
Yeah. Down the line. Aren't we all ultimately manufacturers of biogases?
Absolutely, every day, and that's the reason why I live alone.
I just want to hear you say asphalt single shingle as many times as you possibly can.
Asphalt single shingle. Asphalt single shingle.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Thank you.
Say shingle.
Your turn, Vishal Vitura, and then we'll get a rebuttal of sorts or a support comment from Galen before we come back to the charts.
Yep, sure, Rob. Well, I was going to talk about the charts here, but I was just going to say, I think, really big news there from Kontrol in terms of the $9.7 million contract there. You can read the details. Completion of the contract expected to actually take place in Q2 of this year, with the project anticipating to commence in Q3 of this year, with an estimated completion next year. So, good step, as we said, and it's adding recurring revenues through, the integrated building technology and service platform. Northstar, as Galen mentioned, still very early on their program. I do believe if you are a shareholder now or part of the media, you can actually go and tour the facility, which is being built right now. And as you can see, is already being sort of in the production phase, where the pilot phase, they're testing it out. So it's up and running, and that's going to obviously be a huge catalyst for the stock coming up this year. And, Greenland is one I find interesting. We are going to talk about, oil and gas a bit later, but obviously natural gas is a big topic. And, when I was thinking of this company, I was looking at their PowerPoint, and I'm just thinking, hey, can't some European country, start implementing this technology, building it out, to use the waste in their own country? But as Galen mentioned, it does take up a lot of land mass space as well, which, Europe's not really known for having too much land, so that might be a bit of an issue there. But, this thing you don't just start this, I think, in a few months or something. It takes some years perhaps to develop this kind of technology. So I do find Greenlane interesting in terms of that longer term play, but as Galen mentioned, there's still a lot of work to be done on the technology side of things there as well. But you can see from their PowerPoint presentation, they are talking about big money, notable industry developments in the transportation of renewable natural gas as well. So some big names like Shell, Chevron, JV, and BP there, Amazon there as well, with clean energy fuel to provide RNG to 15 different states. So we are, or countries are, or not countries, sorry, big Canadian companies, marine companies, and American companies, and well, I guess BP is British, doing their work here to explore RNG. So you have RNG, you have LNG. So I didn't really know much about RNG until today. I've always been taking a look at LNG, where of course you ship the gas while it's frozen, but in this case you're now delivering the gas in trucks rather than pipelines, or rather in their frozen state on ships. In terms of the technicals here, I have to say that there's some really interesting charts here in terms of bottoming patterns. I mean, yeah, sure, the charts don't look like they're alive or anything, but these are the type of patterns I like, right? Because I just like to look for things that are basically very beat up, are in a long downtrend, because as we know, things don't move down forever, things don't move up forever. They move in these cycles, right? And in the case of maybe marijuana, the cycle's a bit longer to the downside there. But one day it'll flip, man. Like, maybe it already has, actually.
That's their newest thing, biomass. That's where you get cannabis doing.
The marijuana stuff just yet. But let's take a look here at Northstar first, right? And I think Galen, you hinted at the technicals here and the stock. So yeah, we have touched basically record lows recently. On February 25th, and actually today, March 14th, when we are recording this video, we actually did hit those all-time lows of around, 25.5 cents? Is that what I see there? No. Low is, 25.5. Okay, interesting. Sorry, 24.5. There we go. That makes sense, because I was like, wait a minute, this is 25 here, so it has to be a bit lower. 24.5 cents. That makes sense. I was on the wrong date there. There we go, 24.5. So you can sort of see at the top of my screen there, we have the open, low, and close. So it's 24.5 cents. 25 cents is a big sort of psychological zone. So far, we are holding above it. We aren't closing below it, even though the lows were at 24.5. No close below 25, because we closed actually right above 25 cents, or exactly at 25 cents. So we're looking now to see if we can get maybe a quadruple bottom, I guess, if we can find buyers to step in and buy at basically record lows, right? Sure, we can make new lows, but as we said, there is that pilot, or the plant is in its pilot phase. So we do have a big catalyst, of course, coming up this year, because when it does start to go into production, we're looking at contracts, and we're looking at, revenue coming in. But basically, if you are someone really bullish this sector, or if you're one of those bottom pickers, right, that really love to pick these stocks when they are near or are making record all-time lows, what I would be looking for is some sort of bounce here. And you can see I've drawn this trend line here, which is connecting quite nicely with basically these lower highs, where the stock tries to break out, but just doesn't build momentum. And you can actually see here, when I zoom in closer, there was 2 days where we actually did penetrate above this trend line. So one time here on the 18th of February, once here on March 10th, but we just could not get a close above it. So we do know that there are sellers here, or sellers watching this trend line. And essentially, if you're bullish, if you want to see Northstar here, or ROOF just explode, basically you want to get a daily close above this trend line. So we're in this phase now where basically you're seeing all this pressure, right? The trend line is narrowing here, and the support's still holding. So you're going to be coiling, and there's going to be a breakout sooner rather than later. And for a bully, hopefully it is to the upside, but there is the case where that can happen as well. Okay? We can get that close below 25.5 cents, and then we are looking at new record lows, and then from there we'd watch to see if it find some sort of basing pattern. And I know I'm spending a lot of time here on ROOF, but it's because the chart, I think, is one of the better looking charts right now. I mean, it's a really nice structure here. very big support level, and I think is definitely one to keep on your radar. If we take a look at Kontrol, and Galen did mention that big volume that was on the 10th of March, which was coincidentally when that big news came out. So there was some nice volume, a nice move higher. You can see here I've drawn a resistance line exactly at the $2 zone. So that's been my price ceiling, which we were supportive here 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times, and then resistance here a few times in middle of February of this year, and finally we broke above it. Not the strongest close, but you can see here in today's candle, the buyers did step back in today, taking a close exactly at $2. It's sort of hard to see this candle because there's actually no body. So the open and the close are exactly the same price, which I think it's quite bullish because I meant the stock opened today at $2, hit lows at around $1.80, and by the end of the day, the buyers stepped back into close exactly at the $2 open. So interesting. I got to say it's interesting. I would like to see a nicer close above $2, but I do think you have something here. You do have a bit of a minor breakout, I would say, and maybe some of the bulls here would really disagree with me. I'm a bit more safe or conservative, I guess, where I like to wait for nice sort of candle closes. So I would be watching for a nice green body above $2, and this could happen sometime this week. So watch to see what happens, because obviously that's pretty big news with that contract, $9 million contract, and the technicals here are looking quite nice, climbing back above $2 there. Finally, let's take a look at Greenlane here. And again, another nice looking basing pattern, although like Roof, we're not exactly at record lows, which we've had record lows way back in 2019, but we are definitely at a very important support level. And why do I say that is because, we're pretty much at that $1 zone, which is a huge psychological number for, these stocks trading under $5. So $1, we closed at 102 today. Very nice support here as well, just slightly below at 96 cents. But I do expect, some nice buying pressure to come here, especially as you can see here, we did have earnings come out a few days ago. It was a surprise earning here. Market liked it, right? The stock did actually pop after earnings, hit this resistance at $1.20, which I think it's more of a technical thing, because as you can see, if I drag this back here, we've hit multiple levels, so this is a very important level. So we should see if buyers will come back and buy the stock here at 96 to $1. But same sort of structure, right? We just remain patient. We wait for that breakout, which would be a candle close above $1.20, and you get going. You have something here. This is actually looking very exciting. So really nice looking charts. I have to admit, this is maybe the first time we've done an investor roundtable where we looked at multiple companies and all the charts looked really good from my point of view. So you definitely have some sort of bottoming type play here in this sector. But again, just wait for that candle close, just because I do think if the broader stock markets do fall, obviously some of these smaller cap stocks could follow along as well.
Interesting. And Galen, of your favorites, or the one you have selected as your favorite, what would you be spending money on?
Well, if I had $7,500,
yep, which you hypothetically do.
Yep, I would probably put at least 25 to 3 against Kontrol Technologies. They're making money, they're making profits, and they're making deals. So, exactly. and their technology and what they have to offer as far as products are concerned is mature. It's ready to go commercial. It's commercial. It's not in the test phase or anything like that. They're doing business. So I like these guys. I like what they're doing. I think it has a future. So yeah, three grand against them. Northstar I like, but they're still in sort of like the beginning stages, as it were. Not to say that they won't finish those stages, but they're not in a profit-taking scenario yet and won't be for a while. So I'm going to go a little bit less on those guys just
Yeah.
because I want to see where they're heading. So I'll drop 15 on those guys. And then Greenlane Renewables. For me, this would be, and I'm not an investor. This would be a swing trade.
It's a trade, yeah.
It's for me that they're making $55 million in revenue over the last year there, but they still ended up $2 million in the red. So they've got to work out either their operations or the deals that they're making, because they're making some pretty big deals, and to turn it into a profit situation for me to start really getting excited about them. Do I want to get on the bandwagon? Well, if it ain't my money and I'm not going to have to worry about it, and I figure in this scenario I can risk $1,000, I'll drop $1,000 just to get my toes wet. So there we go. I think I'm at 7 at this point.
Well,
sorry, no. So 3,
1 and 1.
Yeah,
3 1 and 1.
No, 3, 15 and 1. So
There
that's 55. Thank you very
55.
much.
500.
Yeah.
Geez, I can add. Math is hard. Math is hard.
Michelle, what are you dropping here? Anything?
Rob, this is very tough. This is a really tough one because, as you know, I am a technical guy, and all these setups are actually things that I would take. Although I do wait for those breakouts, but the basing pattern here is just very appealing to me, just because of longer term where these sectors could be going. I do like roof. I do like the fact that we're at 25 cents. We've been coiling here. Yes, we can break below the support. I am waiting for that breakout above that trend line, but I wouldn't mind dropping 2K here at 25 cents, just because I like the structure. I like the fact we are seeing buyers step in here. And of course, yes, if we do break down, I do sort of become a bag holder, but I do think 2022 is going to be a big year for them with this plant, and hopefully, it gets some more media attention. More people understand what this is, because I don't think too many people know the whole economics and macro picture behind asphalt shingles, right? But it's everywhere, right? I'm looking at my roof here, and I can see
That's everybody's roof. It's pretty well
on
everybody's
my
roof.
Yep. Exactly. So, I'm liking the technicals here. This will be much more for longer term hold, obviously, but I'm gonna take credit if we do break out above this trend line and we continue higher. I'm gonna say, hey, that was a great swing trade. So I really like what I'm seeing here on roof. Kontrol, I'm with Galen. I think this is one that 9.6 million, man. It's not something to scoff at, and I think the whole smart city, smart building play, it's going to get big. And we haven't even talked about the fact that costs are rising on gas and on water and everything. So if you're one of these bigger buildings, hey, I think their technology is going to come really in handy to minimize those type of costs. And that 9.6 million is already on its way, so a nice recurring revenue. I'm going to go a bit higher on this one. I'm going to say, let's go 4K on Kontrol Technologies. And I've actually liked their stuff in the past. I do think way back in the day, we did call this sort of cup and handle pattern here before we broke out. But, interestingly enough, we were looking at this more as like a COVID play because of their whole, like the air quality issue. And, hey, maybe COVID is going to be coming back. I've heard China just locked down a few more cities. So maybe, this will get a bit more attention on that play. I hope that's not the case, obviously, right? But there might be something there on that side of things. So I'm going 4K on Kontrol because I think this is one that you do hold long-term because, again, 9.6 million in the bank, probably more projects coming down the road. And then the remaining, and I believe that would be 1,500?
Yep.
1,500. I will put here in Greenlane. And again, this is a bit more just because I like the technical pattern. I understand that, yes, the technology and implementing it might be some time away. And as Galen mentioned, the costs are quite high. But I do think there is going to be a bit of an energy, I don't want to say a war, but, we're going to be talking a lot about energy in the next few months. Hey, Greenlane Renewables, I think people might start looking at RNG rather than LNG, all types of NGs, I guess. But I do find this one quite appealing if we are looking at gas there. And obviously, I would love to see that break above $1.20. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do this as a trade. So I will put 1,500 only on that break above $1.20. Let's do that. That way I'm not, just buying the basing here. I'm going to buy the actual breakout. So 1500 only if we break above $1.20 here on the charts. But I think this might be an interesting one with the whole geopolitical and energy situation going forward.
Wow. So Michelle's throwing the wad
Yep.
at the circular economy, which is fantastic.
Doesn't look too good, man.
So yeah, it looks pretty good. That was that's Greenlane.
Yep.
Out of Burnaby, British Columbia. GRN on the TSX. It's Brad Deauville is the CEO. We also have Kontrol Technologies, KNR on the NEO exchange out of Vaughan, Ontario with Paul Gezzi. I believe it's pronounced that way, the CEO. And under Aidan Mills, the CEO and president of ROOF, which is Northstar Clean Technologies, ROOF on the Venture Exchange out of Delta, British Columbia. We have to pop over and visit those guys if they're having media visits and stuff. We shoot a video for them, get them on board. Damn it! Those are the three we've talked about. These fellas are spending money on it. That doesn't mean you have to, or you want to, or you need to. It means you should do your research, check out, do some reading, go on their investor decks, and find out some information for yourself. Because we can't guarantee what we tell you, and we also can't guarantee you that past performance equals future results. Do a little homework, enjoy yourselves, invest a little money if you want to, and we'll check back with you. This has been a very interesting and diverse Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one with our asphalts.
Nice, dude.